Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live. And today I'm going to show you a card that I made with the In Bloom stamp set bundle, which is one from the current January to June mini 2021 catalog. It's one of those bundles. I actually made a card with it last week and had a lot of people tell me that they never even looked twice at the dies in the catalog and didn't think much of them until they saw the card, and then they loved them. So I thought it was time for me to show, to do a little card here with the awesome dies in this bundle. So it's a good bundle, good stamp sets, you know, lots of awesome dies in it, and good sentiments, and kind of a good general stamp set to have. So hey Bree, thanks for hopping in today. I appreciate you being here. So this is the In Bloom stamp set, and again, like I said, it's in the January to June 2021 mini catalog. It is photopolymer, so it's one of those see-through stamp sets, so you can see where you're stamping everything, which is nice, especially since it's sort of designed as like a two-step or two-layer stamping. So hey Barbara and Pam, thanks for joining today. And then we have the coordinating dies with it, and these are the Pierce Bloom's dies, I think is the name of them. Of course, I don't have my catalog laying in front of me. I'm pretty sure that's what the name of them was. But it's a really awesome die set. It's huge. First of all, there are tons of dies in it. A nice one for layering, nice one for adding little accents. There's a there's a bow in it. There's the little stem pieces and leaves and all sorts of flower shapes and flower centers. So it's a good die set. So hey, Elise and Jackie and Linda, thanks for joining. And Mary is here as well. And Mary, Mary times two. I see that you're here. So thanks so much for joining today. And Cindy, thanks for joining as well from Arizona. So the dies are definitely, like I said, they're definitely a good set, and one that probably, wouldn't have gotten too many second looks just because there's like, it's flowers, whatever. But they're just really cool. They have all these, the piercing part is what makes them awesome. So hopefully you can see it on my card, but that's kind of the effect that you get with it, is the pierced look to it. And it's really, like I said, it's just a neat set of dies, fun to use, really easy to use, and easy to layer up and create a really pretty card. All right, so that is the Stampin' die set. They are in a bundle together where you'll save 10% in the catalog. So definitely, if you're going to get one, get them both. So get them bundled together and save your 10% on it. A couple other things that I used is this is still the old style Pinewood Planks embossing folder that I have. So I have not upgraded to the new one because I know the minute that I do that, they're all going to be discontinued. So this is still the old style, but this is the Pinewood Planks 3D embossing folder. If you purchase it from Stampin' Up, you'll get one that it embosses exactly the same. It just looks a little different on the outside. That's all. And it's a little thinner. So that's the embossing folder that I used for the background. And I'm not normally one, if you follow me, you know that I'm not really much of a technique-y kind of person. But I kind of snuck one in on this on the background, and I'm not sure how well it shows up on the video, but you can see it in person. I actually did sort of a whitewash look to the background on the embossed part of it. So it's, like I said, I just used a little bit of the Whisper White Stampin' Craft ink in a sponge dauber, and I'll show you in a minute how I did it. And I kind of sponged it over the embossed panel to give it sort of a whitewash look, because to me this card has kind of a country feel to it with the colors and things that I used on it, and so I thought the whitewash background kind of added a nice little touch. So hey Diane, thanks for hopping in. And actually, speaking of spring has sprung here, so I am getting my usual allergy issues with the runny, drippy nose and all that stuff. So hopefully I won't start hacking in the middle of the video. So, hey, Jeannie, I'm glad. Oh, and you can see the whitewash. I wasn't sure how well it show up in the video. Like I said, you can see it definitely in person. It looks different, but on the video, I wasn't sure how well it was coming through. So a couple things before we get going. The Hey Chick and the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set bundles are available from Stampin' Up! Through June 30th. So if you haven't seen them, this flyer is out on the sidebar of my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. You can purchase the items individually, bundled, however you want to buy them. So this is the old Celebration stamp set. So if you already have that, you don't have to get it again. This is just a new set of dies that coordinate with it. And then there's a set of Birthday Chick dies that go with the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set in the mini catalog. So I love the embossing folder. Yeah, it's a good one. So, and I fear that one may be on the retiring list. I don't know, it's been around for a little while, and usually the ones that I love the most, then they're here for a while and then gone. So I'll be checking the embossing folders for sure tomorrow. So last thing I want to talk about before we get going on the card is the butterfly bouquet. Products are available right now from Stampin' Up. They have a bundled stamp set and die set, and the die set is huge and beautiful. So definitely you'll be interested in getting both of those. The stamps and the dies are going to be in the next annual catalog. We've been told that these two items are definitely going to carry over. The butterfly bijou designer paper is sold out, so that is not carrying over. And the natural touch specialty designer or specialty paper is not carrying over either. So if you're wanting the specialty paper, make sure that you get it, because this paper sold out really fast, which I'm sad about. But the bundle is still available, so if you are interested, hop out to my blog, and there's a link to it in the online store. You can go grab it there. Hey, Jillian and Karen. So, all right, let's get rolling on the card. I did bring a little piece of scrap paper in just because the craft ink does take a minute or two to dry, and I didn't want it all over my workspace and then end up with it stuck all over on my card where I didn't want it. So this actually is the old style of craft ink pad that I got from Stampin' Up ages ago. But it comes now uninked, and you get the ink refill with it. But I didn't even use the ink pad side of it. All I used was the refill part. So I just took a little bit of the refill and put some of it into the lid of the stamp set, and then just grabbed lid of the ink pad, and then just grabbed my sponge dauber, which I have labeled with Whisper White. And I just picked up a little bit of the ink and just kind of started lightly brushing it over the background of my, I should have said, I just jumped right into the whitewash part. This is a piece of crumb cake cardstock that I embossed ahead of time with the Pinewood Planks embossing folder that I just got done talking about a minute ago. So that is what I did ahead of time, but I'm just doing the kind of whitewashing technique on camera here with you. I figured it wasn't, the embossing part of it's kind of the boring part, so hopefully this is a little more exciting to look at. One thing that if you are going to do this technique, one thing that I did learn is that I wanted to have a paper towel or a piece of, a soft towel of some sort here that I could quickly have it come to the rescue if I got a little overzealous in my inking of the paper, because there were a few spots on my first try with this that I did get a little heavy-handed with the ink and had like kind of a big white glob. And I just grabbed, because the ink is slow to dry, I just grabbed a towel and wiped over it, kind of rubbed over it a few times with the towel, and it picked up and kind of moved the ink around enough that I didn't have the big white glob anymore. So definitely if you're going to do this, do a little whitewashing on the cardstock, just make sure that you have a towel handy. I have mine right off screen just in case I have any globs while I'm here. But just have a little towel or, paper towel or something that you don't mind getting white craft ink on handy, so that you can wipe up any messes. So I'm just going to finish off here, make sure I got the edges well, because I find that sometimes I do the center of things very well, and then the edges, all of a sudden I look and I'm like, oh, I totally missed it. So, all right, so that's it. I mean, that is as simple as it gets when it comes to techniques, and that's kind of my style of techniques as well, is that, if it's not easy, I'm not going to do it. So, but again, I just used the Whisper White ink refill, put a little bit in the lid of my ink pad, and then took a sponge dauber and just sort of brushed it lightly over the edges. Again, one other little tip that I will say when you're first starting with it and kind of getting the feel of the technique is when you're using your sponge dauber, pick up the ink and then wipe it on your scrap paper a little bit before you go straight to the cardstock, because that was another thing that I learned, is that if you really dunk it into the ink, and rather than just sort of picking it up from the side like I was doing, then you end up with it big white globs, and then you're taking your paper towel and frantically wiping it. But as long as you have the paper towel handy, then you're set to go. So, hey, Sherry, thanks for joining, and Melanie, and I see Karen is here too, and I don't know if I missed anyone else. So, but yeah, definitely. Well, and I always have a towel in here because I'm forever making a mess of something. I spill a lot of things, so, or knock things over or whatever, just have ink disasters of some sort. All right, so I've got another piece of crumb cake cardstock, and I probably didn't say the first one was cut to 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inch, and then this one I have cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And again, all the details and the cardstock cuts will be posted out on my blog tomorrow, so no need to worry about keeping track of those right now. And I will link up the blog post in this video so that you'll be able to reference it tomorrow if you want to go take a peek at the different cardstock cuts. So I'm just adhering them together with Stampin' Seal, and I'm trying to be a little careful not to stick my hands too much or smear like that kind of thing with it. And then I'm going to flip it over here, give it a little press on the back, flip it back upright, and we're going to set it aside for a few minutes to kind of dry while I assemble my flowers and things, and get that ready to go and do a little stamping so that hopefully the ink will be dry on it. And also, if you'll probably notice that this one probably has a little more whitewash effect than this one does. So again, depending on what you like, whether you want it to be a little more whitewashed or a little less, just add another layer of ink on it if you want it to be a little bit more whitewashed. So that's as much of a technique as I could come up with on it, that it's basically just keep adding ink if it's too light for you, and stop when you think it's good. Or take your paper towel and quickly wipe it up if you put too much on. So. All right, so let's start assembling some of the flowers. Again, these are all cut from Seaside Spray. The flowers are all cut from Seaside Spray cardstock, which sadly will probably be on the retiring list tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that it is. And at least we haven't heard that those colors are going to be carrying forward, so I'm assuming that all of the in colors are going to be retiring as of tomorrow. Well, I mean, they won't be like gone forever, but they'll be while supplies last as of tomorrow. So the retiring list is going to post around 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Hey, Chi, thanks for joining, and Carol as well. So the retiring list is going to post tomorrow around 1 o'clock Mountain Time, and which is 3 o'clock Eastern Time for those of us out on this side of the world. So I will be posting it on my blog and sharing links to it just as soon as I possibly can. It's going to take me a minute to get the list all linked up and the blog post ready to go, but as soon as I have it, I will publish it, so you can come check out my blog and find the link to the retiring products, and I'm sure that they will be listed out in the online store as well. So if you just go straight to my online store, you can probably find them there tomorrow too. So the centers for the flowers were all cut from So Saffron cardstock, and I just adhere the flower centers with glue dots to the flowers themselves. And I've cut from Pear Pizzazz cardstock a couple of the little leafy looking die cuts. And then, whoop, I got that facing the wrong way. And then I also cut one of the labels from Basic White cardstock, and we're going to do some quick stamping on that with Seaside Spray ink. You're liking this bundle too. Like I said, it was one that initially I'm like, it's okay. But then I got it and actually started using the dies, and that's when I'm like, oh, this is a good one. So, I mean, they're all good, but this one's a really good one. So let me make sure I have this good and inky. I was talking when I was doing that, and sometimes I'm not always paying attention. And I'm stamping this intentionally off to the left-hand side a little bit on my die cut. Ooh, I didn't get a great image on that. Let me see if I can do it without messing it up, hopefully. I think I got it reasonably. I may redo it after we get done, but I think it's all right. So we've got Seaside Spray ink that I used to stamp on the Basic White panel. And now I'm going to come back to my cardstock and sort of give it a little touch. It feels like it's pretty well dry, or mostly dry at this point, so I think we can go ahead and start assembling the card front. And I'm going to add my sentiment on here with Stampin' Seal. Oh, the bundle's now on your wish list. Good. You will like it. You're going to have fun using it. Like I said, the dies are really what sold me on it. Like I said, the sentiments are nice, and it's definitely a good bundle, but the dies are really cute, really cool. So, all right, next up, we're going to add the little leaf die cuts. And again, these are cut from Pear Pizzazz cardstock, and I'm just using glue dots to adhere them down. And I know I want my one little leaf down here kind of towards the bottom and overlapping the sentiment panel just a little bit. And then I'm going to add my two other sets of leaves. I guess there's more than two leaves. With glue dots as well. And I'm just going to adhere one sort of up this way on the card front. And I've got it overhanging a little bit, but I don't want it to hang way off, because then it'll be completely off the card front, and that's never a good thing either. So let me get my second one here and get that adhered up a little bit higher on the card. Probably right up there will probably work. Then I've got a couple of the die cut flowers, and we're going to go ahead and adhere those onto the card front as well. I may stick a second glue dot on the back of this one since it's a little bit bigger in the middle. And I think we'll go ahead and put that one right up here. And I'm not going to smoosh the flowers down really hard just yet, just because I want to make sure that everything is going to land in the spot that I want it to, and that I won't have to move anything around, or that it sticks to my finger like it just did and flings itself off. But I may end up sort of sliding things around just a little bit based on where, because every card front is a little different, depending on exactly where I set things down. I'm going to tuck this one in up here, make sure that I'm not covering up my sentiment, and then grab a Stampin' Dimensional to put on the back of the biggest flower, or I guess 3 of them because they all stuck together. So that'll work too. Hey Patricia, thanks for joining today. Glad you were able to hop in. And I did use Stampin' Dimensionals on the larger flower that I'm adhering here kind of over the center, just because the glue dots got to be too much. I was trying to use glue dots on all of them, but the final one I finally ended up just going with the Stampin' Dimensionals just because there were too many glue dots piled up and it couldn't even get it to stick to the card front. All right, so that's basically it for the most of the card front. We've got a couple of little pearls to add on and then stick it on the card front, and we are all done with it. These are the pastel pearls, which are finally back in stock again, so I'm very happy about that. Luckily enough, they've got some Seaside Spray pearls in the little pack, so which coordinates with my cardstock in my ink. And hopefully I can get that one to tuck on. Yep, there we go. And then I'll add one more down here towards the bottom. Maybe tuck it in. I think I like it a little bit closer over by here, maybe. There we go. I think that's where I want it to be. And then we're going to stick those down well. So add in a couple of the pastel pearls. Looks like they were quilted. It does kind of. It's definitely got that stitched look to it. So I really like them. They're really pretty and really easy to use. Like I said, that's the added bonus, is that they're just, all you do is run them through the die cutting machine once and they're all cut and pierced and look really cool. So thanks, Karen. I'm glad you like it. We're using a couple Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to adhere this onto my card front. And again, the card front is Seaside Spray. And I know I started talking about the retiring list, but it is going to post tomorrow, and everything on the retiring list is only available while supplies last. The only exception, I'm assuming Stampin' Up! Will do this again this year, the only exception to that is sometimes they have the bundle pricing goes away at the end of a catalog, but the actual individual items will carry over to the next catalog. So in that case, the only thing that technically retires is the pricing on the bundle. So the actual individual items do not retire from the catalog, but that's usually the only exception to that. Otherwise, anything else on that retiring list is while supplies last, so make sure you get out and get things ordered soon if you're wanting anything from the current annual catalog that's on that retiring list. So, all right, I've got a piece of basic white cardstock. I'm going to do a little stamping on the inside panel and just using Seaside Spray ink. And I'm going to stamp a couple of the little flowers on here. All right, and then I'm going to add some flower centers in So Saffron ink. And we'll be all done with the inside of the card too. All right, couple little flower centers, kind of a quarter little flower center on that one. That one's almost off the page. So thanks, Christy, I appreciate that. Glad you all are liking this card. Like I said, I started out with a totally different plan on what I was going to do with this card, and then I ended up with this. So it's amazing how sometimes when I sit down and start working, I have an idea in my head and I think we're going to head that direction, and then I sit down and start playing and it ends up with something completely different. But that's okay, because actually I'm pretty happy with the way this one turned out too. All right, a little bit of Stampin' Seal to adhere that to the inside of the card and give this a quick crease with a bone folder. And we are all done. So this is my card I made ahead of time, my sample card. This is the one we made today. And again, like I said, you can see the whitewash is a little more predominant on this one than it is on this one. This is definitely a lighter whitewashed version. But again, whichever way you like it better, You can have it go lighter, darker. You can have it be almost all completely white if you prefer that look. So whatever you like, that's the nice thing about it is you get to pick. So thanks so much for joining today. Again, I'll be posting all the details for this card out on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. So if you don't follow my blog, hop out there and follow along, and you'll see the details. And again, I'll share the link to it in the comment or the description section of this video tomorrow, so you'll see it out there and can go back and reference it. So thanks again for joining. I will plan to be live on my YouTube channel live around 2 o'clock on Friday, and then next week Tuesday back here live again on Facebook. So I will chat with you all soon. Thanks again for joining.